4, 3. We're back on the spotlight, and it's Red Shoes Billiards time, and we're going to get a little bit of history with one of the guys who's here a lot and is very prominent in the billiards world. His name is Freddy Bentivegna, and as a matter of fact, he produced this video, which you don't see every day, Banks That Don't Go But Do, and your partners here in crime, John and John, tell me that you never saw a bank shot you didn't like, right?
That's right.
And could you elaborate a little bit about your early days in billiards, where you grew up and where you began to play?
Well, I'm a Bridgeport boy, and grew up and I played on 26th and Wallace at the old Knapp's pool room, and then when I got a little older, I went down to Bensinger's downtown on Randolph Street, and then from there I played all around the country, all the different, hustled. I was a pool hustler. I wasn't a pool player, I was a pool hustler.
And when you were hustling, were you driving to events, and what are some of the cities you went to?
I went everywhere. Only places I missed was the far northwest and the far northeast. But I was, through East Coast, Florida, Carolinas, Texas, Louisiana, California. Just Michigan, Detroit. There was a lot of action up in the Rack and Q in Detroit. Tremendous action. The guys were playing for a lot of money. Vegas,
And what years were you doing this, and what kind of games were you playing?
Well, I played mostly bank pool and one pocket. That's the hustlers' games. 9-ball is tournament game, but they gamble at 9-ball too. But it's not a good hustlers' game, as far as I'm concerned. My game was bank pool. I'm in the Bank Pool Hall of Fame, if I have to mention that. I got elected in the first ballot in 2005. So,
congratulations. And of the tournaments you played in, can you name a more memorable one or two, and the events that made it memorable?
The tournament of all was at Johnson City, Illinois. Johnston City, Illinois, right near Carbondale in southern SIU University. Population 3,500 people, but it was for about 10 years it was the pool capital of the world. Every year all the greatest players in the country came there, and for 3 weeks they had a pool and gamble and jamboree. That's where Minnesota Fats lived a few miles from there. Minnesota Fats used to live in Dowell, Illinois, an even smaller town. He had a farm down there, and he used to go to Johnson City, and he'd promote all the biggest action you ever seen, in the 60s and the early 70s, and then it just died out. The owners, the people that running it, the Jansko brothers, one guy died and the other guy got kind of sick, and that sort of ended it. Those were the Hustler Jamboree tournaments.
Speaking of the Hustler, I know I've asked the other Johns about this. When they come out with movies like The Hustler and The Color of Money, how authentic are those, and did you relate to any scenes in those?
They weren't too authentic. Okay. Matter of fact, I had a little something not much to do with The Color of Money. I was barking at what's his name, Scorsese, telling him I would rewrite the script for him. I got the technical advisor was Mike Siegel, a friend of mine, so that's how I got to meet Scorsese. And he's a nice guy, but their idea of pool is, nice movie, but nowhere near anything remotely approaching reality.
Well, does it never make you think that you would like to get some notes down from your past and put something together to present to a famous director?
I'm glad you asked me that, because I have a completed pool script called Roxanne's Game. I've been working on it for about 5 years, and it's about based loosely on this pool hustling team of Barbara and Jack Cooney, famous hustlers, and I'm in there myself in small parts, but their antics. They were the greatest hustlers, in the pool world.
Well, how did the woman come into play?
She was just his confidant. She'd hold the money and give him support and everything, and just hang with him and be with him 24 hours a day while he played.
Very, very interesting. Well, as long as we're talking about the video world, let's talk about Banks That Don't Go But Do. What was your inspiration to get this on a DVD, and was it difficult to get it produced?
Well, I did it myself with a friend of mine who helped me. I wrote two pool books, two bank pool books, and he thought it'd be a good idea maybe to put some of that stuff on a DVD. So he's got the equipment and all that. And I have a table in my basement, so we self-produced it. It's about 45 bank shots and their solutions, how to make them, that very few people have ever seen or even realized are available to them to be able to make. They're, very trick shots that I used and got the money with in my career over 50 years.
When were you doing your early pool? When were you coming out of Bridgeport? What years were those?
Well, that was the early, late 50s, let's say. When I was in high school, 1954, I went to Tilden Tech. And it was at that time I played on 26th and Wallace at the pool room there. Four-table pool room. Wasn't much. I didn't play too good. Matter of fact, it shows you I didn't play very good for about 10 years. It took me about 10 years before I got to be a decent player, good player.
What was the key to getting good? Was it your commitment or a mentor?
I was always committed, but then I was fortunate enough to have a mentor, And when I was coming up, players wouldn't help you. They kept these secrets to themselves because they were afraid you'd turn it on them, And there was this old-time pool hustler named Gene Skinner. He used to be a great player, but since he'd retired from the game and he was working out at the racetrack, he took pity on me, and he took me under his wing and showed me some things that were phenomenal. And within a period of about a month, I went down to Johnson City and I finished 5th in the world tournament, first tournament I ever played in my life, in the one pocket tournament. Mostly based on his insights into teaching me how to think, in pool.
Yeah, that is phenomenal. Well, now you've kind of have a home here at Red Shoes, and tell us what some of your competition is like over here.
Well, there's some real good players here in Chicago. Chicago is the bank pool capital of the world. We've always had the best bank pool. It's a special game, bank pool. You got to hit the rail first before the ball goes in the pocket. And Chicago's always had the best bank pool players for the last, 60, 70 years.
Wow.
And Johnny, who runs the room, is a champion bank pool player himself. And Piggy Banks, Glenn Rogers comes in here. He's finished second in a world championship a couple of times. There's just plenty of, a guy wants to play bank pool, he can really get it on up in here.